Hi, it's Red Snapper and welcome to the Showgirl's Closet. Today we are going to look at something that has been in the background all of this time. We will bring it to the forefront. The Tulle boa. Ooh. Feathers are expensive. They are maybe a little harder to come by, not as easy for a newer performer to afford, and there are ethical concerns. I know there are vegans in the world. I know that there are people who are concerned about the treatment of animals. I am concerned about the treatment of animals. Ostrich is a staple of burlesque, and alternatives have not always been readily available or easy to find out about. With this modern world where we're even more connected, we can see ideas that people have and things that people are working on, and it's a lot easier to find out about alternative things that you can do to achieve the same sort of look, the same kind of silhouette, the same kind of movement and flow and such that you get with animal products from non-animal sources. Enter the Tulle boa. I wanted to find a way to create a boa that was very, very full and rich looking without it being ostrich. I do have a couple of ostrich boas for full transparency. I also have ostrich fans. I have ostrich on a robe. I already have ostrich things in my life. But I understand the concern. I'm probably not the first person who ever did this. I did this like 10 years ago based on a child's tulle skirt pattern. And I am positive I'm not the only person who has tried this technique making the Tulle boa. So I'm not the originator of the Tulle boa, but I'm going to show you what I have and how I made it. And it may help you in making your own Tulle boa if that's something you want to do. I'll talk about the technique. I'll show you how it moves as well so that you know what to expect. So here we go. Okay, I have this stored in one of these resealable plastic bags, but it's so voluminous that it pushed against the sides of the bag and kind of expanded it. All right. Oh, Chowdy's in it to win it. Oh, Nutmeg's in it to win it. Hi. I guess they're fans of this Tulle boa. Oh my goodness, he is concentrating on it. Like, dude, I want that in my life. Okay, you can see how big this is. You can also see the texture, right? As I run my hands down it, it's not super soft, it's not super smooth. I did use nice tulle, so it's not as itchy as some of the stuff that's out there, but it does crumple up a bit. It's not going to scratch my costume, but ooh, hello thread. I know what that's from. That's from some ribbon. It would catch on rhinestones that have prongs, something I've talked about before. Rhinestones and settings. It would catch on those. It absolutely would catch on those. I like texture and I like color. Feathers are not one solid color in nature. I like things that look kind of natural. So hair is not just one color. My grandmother went gray when she was 25. My grandmother loved the color of my hair, and growing up she would try to dye her own hair to match the color. And I told her one day when I was, 14 or something, my hair's multiple colors. It's not just red. There's some blonde, there's a little bit of brown, it's a mixture. I mean, it's still natural color. When you go to a colorist, I've never been to a colorist, but I would assume that the colorist keeps that in mind and tries to work in, similar tones to make your hair look natural and not just straight up yellow, unless you want yellow hair, and then they'll make it all look, yellow. My theory excuse me. My theory with boas and such is is to use different colors to make it look as natural as possible. So this boa is not just tulle. I do have this like crazy, hot pink, watermelon red. I've got orange bits in here. I have red. There's also some ribbon mixed in. Where's that ribbon? Oh, here's ribbon. The legend Big Fanny Annie used to make ribbon boas. I don't know if she did the same technique or if she did something else, but the ribbon here, since the end isn't burnt, it will continue to fray. I probably would burn it now, but I'm not going to go through and find every bit in this boa in order to burn that. Here we go. Now you can see that. But the result is a very rich color, a little more natural looking. It doesn't look flat or plastic or whatever, even though it may be made from recycled bottles, right? So the technique here is you have to have a few things. You have to go shopping for a few things. One of them I recommend is cotton cord. This is what everything is tied onto, is this cotton cord. Looks kind of like guts. You can find this in, I think, the upholstering section of, well, I could find it at Joann Fabrics, but you may have to find it online or from another local supplier. It's maybe an inch thick. It looks like guts. It's cotton. So I dyed it so that it's a closer color to what I have going on the outside. It's not a perfect match, but it's also not a white cord right in the middle. And that's the thing. If you can hide that cotton cord a little bit, then do it. You could also work with a really long piece of ribbon, put things around a ribbon. I wanted something sturdy. So that contributes to how this moves, that it's on this cotton cord. And it's also very tightly packed. Look at that. It's a pretty good Swiffer. There's a... It's tightly packed, this thing. So it moves like something that is tightly packed. But, you know, I've got to really work for you to see that cord. Bending things back. So I dyed the cord, and then I cut strips of the different kinds of tulle, the orange, the crazy hot pink, the red, and the ribbon. I love having a rotary cutter. I stretched the tulle out on the mat, took the rotary cutter, cut things, I think, so that they were like 12 inches long and 2 inches wide. Doesn't have to be perfect. So if you wind up with 3 inches wide and 10 inches long for one of your cuts because you're distracted, the world doesn't end. It doesn't end at all. And I kind of figured out while I was tying it how I wanted it to look. So, oh, it looks like I've got some shiny pink here at the bottom that's left over from something else. You can work all kinds of crap in this. It's like kitchen sink meatloaf, or I'm talking about meatless here. So kitchen sink veggie loaf. How about that? So you tie a section, right? You take your strips, you tie them on in an order that makes sense to you. So it might be, I'm going to do 5 pink, 3 red, 2 orange, because I have less orange than everything else, and then I'll start back over. 5 pink, 3 red, 2 orange, whatever order it is. You do, I don't know, a sampling of it. Maybe 5 or 6 inches. See if you like the way it looks, because it's going to look different with just a few compared to a bunch. And you tie these things on with a square knot in front of the television, or, you know, whatever. It's something that you can do without really looking, because you're just tying knots and tying knots, and then pushing things down to pack them, and then you keep tying knots. So you see how you like your little sample, and then you decide, do I want to change anything? Does this look like tiger stripes? Do I hate it? Do I need to add another color? And then, great thing, you don't have to untie anything. You just stick your fingers in there and you shove things down the cord so that you have room to put in the colors that you want to use to break things up a little more and make it look a little more natural. So you do that forever and ever and ever until it is the length that you want. And it's a great project to have in front of the television so you can kick back and rewatch seasons of your favorite television show from the late 90s, early 2000s. You can just lean into all of that. I wanted it long. It's long. To finish it off, what I did, so I tied up the end of this. I think what I did was I did like a running stitch by hand to close up the end of the cord, wrapped things around, and then I added a tassel of sorts. So this is a big crazy bead that I got from Bohemian Crystal, aka Bead Factory in Los Angeles. And then I had a little bit of this leftover fringe. So I threaded that through the end, and this is all glued down. So I do have a little, I don't use it as a big whoop tassel, but I do have a nice finish on the end. So anyone who handles this boa will see a pretty end. Anybody who's in the front row will see that it has a pretty end, and they won't be like, ugh, look at that. It's got cotton intestines inside of it and it's unfinished. They'll see a nice ending. So the boa moves. It's kind of heavy, but not incredibly heavy. It moves like it's made of tulle. It's not as light as an ostrich boa, but it does look nice. It's easy to travel with. You just have to compress it in a bag and make sure that you suction all of the air out of the bag and keep the bag closed. But I'm going to try to feed this up my shoulder without hitting my microphone. So it's also something that you can use in a venue that allows smoking, because you can hand wash it pretty easily and you don't have to worry about anything. It's tulle. It's made of tulle. If somebody stains it, you wind up setting it in somebody's Coke, then you remove the section of tulle ties where it's stained if you can't get the stain out, and then just replace it. Pretty straightforward. It's like the wash and wear version of a boa. Let's see how it swings over chowder. It doesn't necessarily float down, more like a straight up pendulum. It might float more if it didn't have the heavier cord or if I had fewer ties on here, but the important thing to me was to make sure that it looked full. So you could try putting a ribbon inside and see if it makes it a little bit lighter. Try packing less, see if it makes it lighter. It might not. It was more about the visual, the mass of the thing. I wanted it to look like, all boas are multi-ply, but I don't know, maybe like a 60-ply. Wanted it to look very full. It does photograph well. But yeah, tulle boa. Pretty fantastic and very, very easy to make. I know a lot of burlesque performers out there have minions, have their own children. They have children, and sometimes the kids know about what the parent does in burlesque. This is a great project that your child can help you make. Involve the children in the labor of making the tulle boa.
So it's vegan and cruelty-free, but you're advocating sweatshop labor to make it.
Absolutely. Yeah, use your kids to help you make your burlesque costumes. Let them contribute if they're interested in what's going on in your world. Yeah, cruelty-free, unless you are doing sweatshop labor with your children. And I mean, that's your journey. That's on you as a parent. I know that if I could use the dogs, that's right, Chowder. He wants the boa, but if I could use the dogs to help me create things, I absolutely would. I mean, that's just a smart thing to do. I feed them, I poop them, I take them to school and Oh, it sounds like I'm advocating child sweatshops, right? Earn your keep. I mean, I had to do dishes growing up, and I hated doing dishes. So what's a little Tulle boa making between family members? So have you ever made a Tulle boa, or have you made a boa with something else? I mean, you could make a trash boa and tie whatever you have that can be tied. You could use scraps from, Goodwill. You could buy things from there, or take your old t-shirts and do something that is a certain kind of theme. It's not going to look the same.
Burlap.
You could use burlap. You could absolutely use burlap if you wanted to do a country farmhouse look. Be sure to subscribe, boop that bell for notifications. We do have an offer for the month of March in our shirt shop. It is Nutmeg's birthday month, and it is also Chowder's birthday month according to his adoption paperwork. So sure, we love celebrating. And to celebrate, we have a code for 10% off. The code is HUSTLE. It's not hustle. It's one hustle. No exclamation mark. It's just straight up hustle. One hustle. Like a statement, but no period at the end. Hustle. That will get you 10% off in the shop. Pick up something fun. We've got Nutmeg shirts. We've got Snapper shirts. Fun stuff in there. And you'll see me next time. Bye.